Well, talking about the traditional, maybe we can jump to the contemporary, because we've had a number of questions, and it's no surprise we're taking questions from Twitter and email as well as here in the audience, but we've had a number that about the role of social media, and maybe the way to look at it, maybe the way to frame it is, what is the role of social media in reporting on Indigenous issues? And do you find that with the explosion in social media, is it actually helping build understanding, or is it actually creating the opposite effect because everyone can now voice their opinion, whether it be informed or not? And Judith, you've, as someone who's been working in print for a long time, I'm sure you've watched the evolution of it. I'd like to start, get your thoughts on that question.
I've got very mixed feelings on it. I appreciate everything that social media does, but I have great misgivings about some of the information that's out there. I've watched stories get entirely out of control when you get misinformation posted and people pick up on it, add to it. I really appreciate having information that I know has been vetted in some way, whether by an editor. And it's sometimes difficult to tell when you're looking at things on social media exactly where it's come from originally. So yes, it's got a vital role to play, but I think we all have to be very careful about it as well.
Let me tackle that one by framing the discussion of social media in an examination of Idle No More. Because Idle No More wasn't any different than Oka was for my and Wob's generation.
No, I'm the Idle No More generation.
Are you? Oh, I don't know.
Just kidding.
He wants you to think that, eh? or for Sean's generation, the white paper.
It's on, man.
But the key difference about Idle No More was social media. Right? I mean that was people. It started on social. It started as a hashtag, and then it kept on going. And it was about people sharing their story. And on December 10th or 11th of 2012, when the mainstream media didn't show up, it just kept on going because of social media and because people were sharing on Facebook and saying you should be there. And the round dance flash mobs kept on happening, without anybody in the mainstream media paying any attention to it for at least 2 weeks. And it was all because of social media. And then here's the really interesting thing that happened. What I have never ever seen in my life more Aboriginal people engaged with the mainstream media than I did during Idle No More. We were getting tweets. They almost had to shut down Mansbridge's Twitter account because people were just flooding him with why aren't you out there? Why aren't you telling this story? Where are you guys? Because if you weren't on those Twitter feeds, if you weren't on those Facebook pages, then you wouldn't have known that Idle No More was going on. Right? Because the Globe and Mail wasn't covering it, CBC wasn't covering it, Global wasn't covering it, nobody. So, but this really interesting thing happened. The people were using social media to hold us to account, in the same way that they do with letters to editors and calling in, 1-800-CBC, whatever it is. But this was instantaneous and direct and constant, 24/7. Where are you? And then when we did start doing stories, holding us to account for the facts that we were publishing in the stories, the people that we were referring to, and I've never seen Aboriginal people engage like that with the mainstream media before. And so I thought that was just a huge positive step and an empowering one for audience members. Because the fact, and I think we've all said it right now, but we are, as we move toward the end of our evening here, we should all be asking ourselves, how do we make change, right? How do we move beyond that 100 people gathered outside the Nanaimo Daily News and the anger and the hurt that was caused that day? How do we move beyond that? And I think this community has been wrestling with that for a year, and we're all here as part of it. And Haichka, Jimmy Gwitch, for all of you for coming and to be part of that conversation. But I think the question of what steps can you guys take? The answer is, use your Twitter and use your Facebook and do write letters to the editor and all those things, and let your news media know when they're doing a good job and when they're doing a lousy job, and why, and how you feel, and you know, that's how social media is really changing things with regard to Aboriginal people.